So, okay. So if you don't want to share your screen, I think that if you don't speak, you won't be shown. But we do have here tonight, welcome Jackie Bryant here, Principal PA. We have here tonight a handful of teachers, we have staff, and we have a couple students. And we're going to spend this hour with you in the hopes that we can describe IVA, the school, the program, but also let you hear from students and teachers, and then ask any questions that you have with real live people to respond to. So tonight's event is not the only event that you can find out about the school at. We have a handful of other events, including January 25th. We're actually going to meet in person for an info night event. And 24th of February, it's going to be a student event that's student led for students so that they can learn about the school and ask questions to students. We have our open house. And then in March and on the 11th, if you would like to be entered into the lottery, your application is due. So there'll be more information about the lottery, the school throughout this next hour. And again, we recording, so if you're not able to stick around, that's totally fine. You can go to our website, or we'll send you notice of this meeting. But welcome here tonight, everybody. I'm glad to see you all. You found us. I was thinking before we started that if we were in a contest of one of those hidden gems, we might win, except for who wins a contest of hidden gems because you're hidden. So you found us. I'm really impressed. I'm glad. And I'm really glad because the education that's happening in Long Beach is fantastic. And in Long Beach is a school, IVA is a school of its kind, offering a very different educational model, but a very sort of the same middle school experience in a lot of other ways. So we're here tonight to try to explain that to you and ask questions. Okay, so this recorded. We will be posting it on IVA's YouTube. You're on mute by default, and please chat to ask questions. We have Julia here who's in charge of outreach and enrollment. And if you have sent any questions about IVA's outreach, Julia would be the one that is answering the questions. Julia, will you say hi? See you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first info night. If you have any questions, feel free to just chat them, and I will try to answer them the best that I can.
And then thank you, Julia. And Julia is also just going to save the questions in the chat so that at the end we can see, are there teachers here that can answer the questions, or the students here that can answer the questions? So welcome, welcome. We'll go back to your questions as we go. Okay, I think the nice way to start any of our meetings together, our time together as a school, or even students in a class, is to remember that we're human beings, and that we're not just here for information, are here just for information, but it will help to, I think, humanize all of us if we can take a moment. I mean, I'll do this myself as well, but can you think of one hope that you have for your child, or that if you could repeat middle school again, what is one that you would have for yourself going through those middle school years? And can you type it into the chat? And we'll just start by reading a couple of those. Hope you have for yourself. If you were going through middle school, one hope you have for your child, even like one hope you have for yourself as a parent of middle schoolers. So any response. I'm going to take a moment to respond, and then we'll read some. Okay, we're going to read a couple of these. Ms. Schmidt, you're here and you have middle schoolers currently. Can you and I just read a couple of these? Do you want to start? And
Sure. Having a strong sense of belonging.
and
Or should I say the name? I didn't know if that.
we can. And the next one, a safe space to be yourself.
A highly engaging and challenging learning environment filled with caring adults and supportive peers.
Oh my goodness. Cheryl Lynn says to have better understanding of himself and his capabilities while dealing with strong emotions. Ooh, you know what it is to be a middle schooler.
Ms. Noble shared that she hopes that her children had an environment where they felt like they could be themselves.
Oh, and then Ms. Schmidt said, I hope my children discover how they're uniquely wired and figure out some of their passions.
Jana said that they are happy and well-balanced graduating from middle school.
Akil Shah, I think I just butchered that. The hope is to learn to be resilient when facing challenges, whether they are social or academic.
Catherine hopes that my daughter Faith enjoys and learns.
Jennifer says feeling confident and safe and comfortable.
That my child is recognized as an individual with wants and needs.
I hope they'll see the highs and lows. This is what I said. I hope that I will see the highs and lows of my kids' first experiences, and I'll cherish that, even though it can feel on fire sometimes.
We hope they have tools to realize their full potential.
Accepted by peers, and then I'll just a safe and supportive peer group, feel more confident, learn resilience. Do you want to read Maya's, Gabi?
Sure. I would wish for my child to have a social environment that cultivated a strong sense of belonging and acceptance, and a learning environment that fostered curiosity and resilience.
And then to be confident in who he is. It is so good to name the hopes that we have for our kids in middle school. I was just talking with our counselor today. I am biased, but I think that middle school might be some of the most important years in a person's life, to put down their habits and practices, to come to know themselves, learn how to treat themselves well, and set out on that journey as really metacognitive adults, people who are thinking about the way that they think. So I have a lot of slides with some information. I think I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. One of another wonderful ways to learn about IVA is to come on a tour, and we offer weekly tours, and it's great for students to come on a tour because they can compare the classroom experience they're seeing with their own current classroom experience. It helps everyone on the tour to hear about that. But I want to give you a little bit of background information. So for some of you, this might be repetitive, but IVA, this is our 9th year as a school. And we got here really from the idea of 2 co-founders, university professors, who were thinking about sending their kids to middle school and wondering what it might be like if their area of study, so how we make sense of the world by the good habits of thinking that we practice, virtue epistemology. What if that was the foundation of an entire school? How would it change or shift what a student's middle school experience is like? So way long ago, back in 2008, that question was posed and a community group was brought together to try to pursue this. And in the beginning of it, they needed to write a charter. And so that's why we're a charter school. It's a school, a public school authorized by our local district. But our charter describes the educational model. And as they were writing that charter, I mean, and in the last couple of years, we have seen so much connection with a lot of the academic work that's going on in education. So the work that we're doing in intellectual virtues, the development of how we think and learn, is really connected to a lot of things. And maybe some of these books or the things that have been listed are familiar to you. I know that Brene Brown is a lot more present in the culture, but her ideas about vulnerability and then positive psychology, growth mindset, a lot of the things that are happening, even like restorative justice. So I'm just throwing all these names out. These are things that are happening in that broader educational movement and things that make a lot of sense with IVA's educational model. So we were first founded with a really large grant from the John Templeton Foundation. The John Templeton Foundation is about seeking human flourishing. And we that developed an educational project for intellectual virtues. We get a lot of our learning and thinking through the work out of Harvard's Project Zero, intellectual character, what it is and why it matters. And then the practical application in the classroom. And these books, for educators, these books are really fun to read because as we think about educating students, I think for myself years ago when I was in a credential program, I think I was taught to deliver content well, but I don't know that I was taught to create opportunities for students to think well with the content. And I'm sure that's where the educational movement is going now. But some of the work that we found and have connected to helps us get there. And so there's a lot of other foundation and research partners. We have our high school, our sister high school was born in 2016. So there's a lot of work that we're a part of for this educational movement. But the result of it is that we have a middle school. And this is a charter middle school. It's formed because we have an innovative educational model that is pursuing the intellectual character development of our students. And so as a charter school, we're governed by authorized by Long Beach Unified, governed by a nonprofit board of directors, directly funded from the state of California. So if Long Beach Unified has a brand new push to do something, it doesn't push us away from our mission. We hold to our mission. We're non-sectarian. We're on a private campus, a church campus, which throws lots of people off. There's concerns that we might be connected with the church somehow. They're wonderful landlords. But that is the space that we could use in Long Beach to have a school. So we are a public school. There's no qualifying criteria for admission through a random lottery drawing. And I'm going to show you a video of our school that really puts, I think, maybe better than my stumbling description. It puts into a 3 or 4 minute video why we're founded, what's the impact of intellectual character virtues. And as you are watching this video, I'm going to give you an assignment. For those of you who are not currently making dinner, I want you to think, what are you looking for in a middle school education? And you really have described that in what some of your hopes are for your child, but what about the education? How does the education impact your hopes for your child? So as we're watching the video that I'm going to play, although I think I'll stop sharing my screen and share again so I can fix the sound. As we watch the video, I'd like you to do what's called a thinking routine, which is a routine practice our teachers do in all of our classrooms, where you'll watch the content, but pull out a sentence or phrase or word that stands out to you. So a thinking routine is one example of the way that we create opportunities for students to think well. Instead of just delivering content to our students, we're asking them to get access to their thoughts. So I want you to get access to your thoughts. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and share again so that my sound is better. Okay. Also, my family's downstairs, so if you can hear them.
This is a school where kids are excited about learning and kids are excited about thinking.
Just being at the school is changing my thinking a lot.
We're asking our students to care about how their mind works.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, when they think of the school, they imagine that in every way it's different from every other school, but in a lot of ways
it's absolutely normal middle school. but with like this college level value for learning.
But here they actually try to engage us, and if somebody's more curious about something, they're most likely gonna wanna engage into it more and pay attention more.
What it takes to be a good student isn't something that you either are born with or aren't born with. Intellectual virtues are just the personal qualities or the character traits that one needs in order to be a good thinker or a good learner.
When you're always thinking about the virtues, when everything is based around the virtues, then you're growing. It's not just about learning facts, but it's about building your personality.
So students meet in groups of 8 for 1 hour per week with an adult advisor, and the advisory program provides an opportunity for them to think and learn and explore with low stakes. There are no grades. And also to do it with another adult figure who is interested in them, cares about getting to know how their mind works.
Because kids who are able to articulate those kind of things, get feedback on those things, they end up developing better psychologically, and they end up doing better in high school and throughout their life.
Here, making mistakes is an opportunity for me to try something new, for me to go back again with a different mindset. If I don't get it, it's another opportunity to be able to learn about it.
That is what is going to take you far in life. That is why you are going to succeed over others. You may have challenges, and this may not come easily to you, but I've noticed that you never, ever give up.
What did I do wrong? How could I change this for next time? How could I change my thinking so I can be able to get the problem right the next time?
That's one of the things that our students love about the environment. They feel supported in the context of struggle, and they feel encouraged to take risks.
Who would I be if I went to IVA as a middle school student? I would be a lot more confident in knowing how to address problems I've never considered before.
These virtues, if students take these out into the world, they are much more open to everything the world has to offer them.
I'm actually excited to go to school, learn something new.
I've made a personal connection with each of the teachers, and I feel like I can ask them anything.
No one's really left out. Everyone's together. Everyone knows each other. You can talk to the teachers whenever you want.
We also want them to leave our school with this kind of sense of wonder and this desire to continue learning. We want to equip students to learn and live well.
Okay, so the thinking routine asks you to see if you can remember or pull out a sentence, a phrase, or a word from that video that stands out to you. And if you have one of those, can you throw it into the chat, please? I'm seeing making mistakes as an opportunity, feeling supported in the context of struggle, to learn and live well. Who would I be if I went to IVA middle school? No one feels left out. Everyone knows each other. Mistakes as an opportunity for learning and growth, taking risks, an opportunity to correct mistakes and learn. Meet with a group of 8 for 1 hour. Well, we're at 13 now, but it's still 13 students in an advisory group for 1 hour. When I see the list of what you pulled from the video, I really do think this sounds like kind of an ideal education, and how true and how possible really can it be? Some of the things I think that protect our school's mission, this meaningful growth in students' intellectual character virtues, some of it is that we are a small school. Not only that we are a small school and so that everything's perfect, because, you know, it's still the same human beings, but in a smaller scale. But because we're a small school and our focus is on intellectual virtues, we attract teachers who also care themselves to be able to name and describe and want to talk about how they want to grow in their own thinking virtues. there's a slide later on in the slideshow, a quote from Lev Vygotsky, a researcher, educational researcher from a while ago. And Vygotsky says that students grow into the intellectual environment that they're surrounded by. And as parents, I know that you know that we want to surround our kids with the best environment that can possibly make them grow. And I think that what is happening at IVA is a collection of teachers who are invested in the exact same mission together. And we see the development in ourselves, and then we invite our students into that. We have 234 students. I really do think at this point there are 3 kids whose names I forget every time I see them. I fixed one this week. But we know all of our students. There's 78 students at each grade level, 26 students in each class, 13 students in an advisory group. There's 26 adults that are looking after these kids and committed to them. So we have, I mean, a small school would thrive in a lot of ways, I think in any setting, but that combined with our mission that gives us direction towards meaningful growth in intellectual virtues makes what is very normal middle school. So this slide is the course of study. It's the course of study at most middle schools, although some middle schools, you have lots of different elective options. And that really, because of the smallness of our school, is one of the main constraints of our school. We don't have a music program, but because we have a small school and we have a very focused mission, classes that you would be taking as a middle schooler, and you would think, oh, I need some extracurriculars so that I'm not bored when I go to school. It's actually, this is the passion of school, the Math 6 and the Math 7 and the Algebra 1, the literature and composition, the ancient civilizations. These are the most exciting, important things because we're inviting students into challenge, deep understanding, active engagement, self-reflection, and we say that we support our students through love and rigor. We are there to challenge students, but invite them into that challenge with the greatest support we can imagine. And the results of that in our test scores have been phenomenal. And also the results of just how highly rated our teachers are in our annual surveys have been phenomenal. And I really do think that it is our mission, but it's our mission in a small school setting that makes this possible. And we do a lot of grading that includes feedback, including writing and rewriting in every class. So we'll have teachers here, and if you have specific questions, you can ask. But a couple other points of data from our survey this last year, we asked students, how many of you feel cared for by at least one adult at IVA? And 93% of middle school students said that I feel cared for by a school employee. I think that is amazing results, because on any one day, you can talk to a middle schooler and they're like, nobody cares about me in my entire life. My parents who are always there for me. And then we also seek diverse ideas and culture. Our job is to ask students to grow in their curiosity and open-mindedness and humility. And the only way to do that is if we take into perspective all diverse ideas and culture. We have really high satisfaction rates. And then this gem of our program is our advisory program, where we protect students' curiosity by getting into small groups every week and talking about the virtues in specific, and then also exploring what students are curious about. So maybe some of our students might say something about that tonight. I had, I think, a whole bunch of students that were going to come. They might have suffered Zoom exhaustion from last year, but we do have Anna here and Marcus. Are there students, if you're here, can you turn your camera on and let's see if we can hear from you. So I think we have Anna. We have, hi Marcus and Rose and Anna. Hi. Okay, I'm gonna ask you 3 to introduce yourself, your name and your grade level, and then you will be answering these 3 questions. And something that you appreciate about IVA. What virtue do you feel like you've grown in? What virtue do you want to grow in? And then for you family members who are here, I would like you to think of what questions you want to ask these students, because I said this is the fun part, is they're going to ask you any question, like who knows what they're going to ask. And Rose and Marcus and Anna will be responding. So Anna, can you start, and then we'll go to Marcus and then Rose. Thank you, Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm in 8th grade. I don't know what to say.
Yes. So what is one thing that you appreciate about IVA, Anna? And then one virtue that you've grown in and one virtue you want to grow in.
Okay. Sorry. Something I appreciate about IVA is that I have so many friends. Like, even if they're not, you don't hang around them so much, you have like one friend that you can always go to. And virtue I feel like I've grown in is curiosity, because at first I wasn't so curious, and now there's a lot of things I'm interested in. And something I want to grow in, I guess, is humility. But I'm not really sure.
Anna, what would it look like if you were to grow in humility?
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'd be better at like everything I do. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I would feel better.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Marcus, thank you, Anna.
I'm Marcus. One thing I enjoy about IVA is like the community and how helpful they are if you have questions. One thing I think I grew in was humility, like admitting when I was wrong, like in an answer or something. And I think like the reason that is because how helpful and good the community is. I feel like I could grow in thoroughness, because like just in some of my like answers, like explaining stuff.
Thank you, Marcus. Marcus, can I push you a tiny bit? What do you mean that you felt like you could grow in humility because of the community?
No, I felt like I could grow in thoroughness.
Oh, because of the community? Oh, no. You've grown in humility.
Yes.
But you said it's because of the community that you feel like it was possible. What does that mean?
Like, they're just like a very helpful community, and I feel more like into the community, because like public schools are usually like thousands of kids, but this is like tons less.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Marcus. Okay, Rose.
Hi, my name's Rose. I am a 7th grader at IVA. Something I appreciate about the school is like how like there's not that much homework. Like people are like, oh my God, I have so much homework. And I'm like, wait, you do? Like I don't have that much. And a virtue I've grown in is curiosity, because online last year I wasn't that curious, and then I've just grown into more curiosity from all my teachers. And then a virtue I want to grow in is tenacity, because I need more tenacity to like keep focused and stuff.
Okay, thank you. And then, so actually, Julia, have there been any questions in the chat yet that students might answer, or families? You can throw a question into the chat. I'm gonna see, Julia, anything for us?
There has not been any questions so far. There's actually one from Martha. What is the thought process behind not having too much homework?
Yeah, and it might be teachers that respond to that one. So any teachers, do you want to describe what your interpretation of Rose's "there's not a lot of homework" is?
Yeah, I mean, I know that math is usually where there's a lot of like, oh, there's so much homework. We do still give homework assignments in math that they work on, you know, every class to like review the material that we learned that day. And we also assign some larger projects where they have like a big challenging math problem to dig into, and they have to do a thorough write-up of it. So it could be that Rose is just using her time really well, because there are definitely other students who are like, there's some homework going on. So I think it kind of depends on the student, but I do think, at least in math, we try not to do the whole drill and kill thing. So the problems that we choose for students to do are thoughtfully chosen, and they require students to do some sort of thinking instead of just let's practice the same algorithm 20 times. So that would be my response to math.
And
Go ahead.
I can actually add on to that. And Rose, I also made a note that I need to assign more homework now. Okay, so we're covering all of our bases. But I think that in the traditional sense of assigning something that's due the very next day, yeah, that might be true that we don't assign much homework there, because we do block scheduling. So I could assign something on Monday for my 8th graders that won't be due until the next time I see them on Thursday. So hopefully they have it done on Wednesday so that we can discuss it in class. And I know for performance tasks, which we'll go over later on in the presentation, that might be a week-long project or assignment. So yeah, again, like in the traditional sense of having something due the next day, I don't think I assign much homework in that sense, but a couple days or the same week or the next time I see you, hopefully the assignments will be done so we can discuss.
Yeah, and then there is a question that Rose, Marcus, Anna, I'd love for you to answer, and then I'll turn it over to teachers. But thank you, Rochelle, for the question. Entering a school where you may not know many other students could be intimidating. What sort of experiences helped you with socialization, making friends? Yeah, go ahead, Rose.
Socialization, like the thing that helped me make more friends is just how our teachers at IVA, especially Ms. Schmidt, she does a lot of interactive work where you'll get up and talk to people about the work and about the math work, and I feel like that helped with making a lot of my friends at IVA.
Yeah, and Marcus, what about you? What was it like? What were the activities or?
So I think going into groups and projects, and then also the smaller class size than most big public schools, and then we also have brain breaks, which I feel like you can meet new people in that.
And there are events over the summer that student leaders create and play games, and then we have orientation that all the teachers are at. We wear name tags the first week of school, but I really think that you guys hit on it. It's the things that are happening in class are engaging and dynamic, and you talk to people a lot in the classroom. So you come to know a lot of people. Okay. So I'm going to turn it. Thank you, Rose, Anna, Marcus. There might be other parent questions that come up, but you guys are welcome to turn off your screens if you want to. And the teachers and staff that we have at our school are phenomenal. I'm going to turn it first to Ms. Schmidt and Ms. Noble. We have 2 math teachers here tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm Miss Noble. I teach 8th grade math and 2 6th grade math.
And I'm Ms. Schmidt. I teach all the 7th graders and the other one of the 6th grade math classes.
Yeah, and the math curriculum at IVA is really, really fun. It's very real life problem solving. Every concept we learn is wrapped in some sort of real world scenario. Our textbook is super unique. It doesn't have pages and pages of, problems with the answers in the back. It's more like, here's the story that we're investigating. And in that story, we're gonna, uncover some new math and figure it out in a very heuristic way, where students are creating their own understanding and making conjectures and things like that. Ms. Schmidt, did you want to add anything?
Sure. I would just say also for myself, this is the way that I came to work at IVA. My son was a 6th grader at IVA a few years ago. And when I I taught math years ago. And when I saw the curriculum that he came home with, it made me so excited that this was the way he was learning math. And the that it made me want to teach again. So I love it. It's very problem solving based and exploration based, like Ms. Noble said. So it's a lot of them developing their own algorithms and patterns. We look at lots of different ways to solve every problem, really trying to build that flexibility in them. And yeah, so it's a really great curriculum. It's called Connected Math Project. It's out of the University of Michigan, if anybody's interested in looking it up.
This is just a sample from our 7th grade textbook, actually, where we start to teach some algebraic thinking. And, you know, here's an example of a story. We've got this kingdom and we have these gold coins, and then we have these sealed pouches full of gold coins. And the students are asked to figure out, you know, how many coins do they think are in each of the sealed pouches. If you could go to the next slide, Ms. Bryant. So this would be like an example of the beginnings of algebraic thinking in 7th grade. So each of those bags holds the same amount of gold coins, and the task is to figure out how much is in the bag. So we might do a thinking routine called the See, Think, Wonder. Ms. Bryant, I don't know, do you want me to do some of that or just talk through it a little bit?
I don't think we'll have time for a lot. You can.
Yeah, so students might look at this at first and say like, okay, I noticed that there are 2 bags and 5 loose coins on one side, and that somehow equals, what is that? 11 loose coins on the right-hand side. And they might start to like, you know, first they say what they notice, and then they start to think through it and say how they would solve it. And then I hear there's a request to repeat the name. It's Connected Math Project. It's CMP3. So then after we talk through how to solve this problem, where we subtract some of the loose coins from both sides and do some division, then we turn this into more like traditional algebraic format, and then show them how what they did conceptually can be written algebraically. So kind of building from a conceptual understanding to a more like algebraic symbolic understanding. Ms. Schmidt, this is your 7th grade. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I think this is a good example of how we go from something that we can build on what they kind of naturally do. It's really pulling out those mathematical instincts that are kind of natural in us, and then going from that to visually, you know, and then to representing it with the algebraic symbols. So it's really built into the context of something that feels very accessible for them.
If you want, you can throw into the chat how many coins you think are in each of the bag, if you're feeling like playing along. Does anybody have any other questions about math or math curriculum or anything like that? You can also put that in the chat if you want. Okay. All right, well, we're here. If you have any questions, and if you think, good job, guys, 3. Now, if you were in class, we would say, what made you say that? And we would like make you explain your thinking, but we are gonna move on to PE, physical education.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm sure the reason why all of you are here tonight, the physical education program at IVA. So before we start, I thought it would be beneficial to just highlight the fact that our physical education program is really based around teaching games for understanding. So not so much just rolling the ball out and playing games, but I think it was in the first couple of slides, going from 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade at IVA is really a build. So in 6th grade, it's more of a focus on large team games, which sort of like Marcus highlighted, really helps the kids to get to know each other as they come into IVA. And then in 7th grade, that's moved on to a little bit smaller individual and dual game activities. And then in 8th grade, we really get into the team sports. So we just finished up playing soccer and basketball, as well as we'll get to volleyball in the second half of the year too. But one of my favorites is our World Dance unit. And coincidentally, that is traditionally the least favorite unit among all the middle school students at first, but it's really fun to see their changes of thinking. And this is a fun video that I like to share at the beginning of the unit, which we won't share for time constraints, but it's Georgian battle performance, and it's done with swords, and it really tells a story about their really, really violent past. But they do it very, very tastefully. And the goal of that is to, one, show the students that dance can be very physically and intellectually demanding. And that two, more importantly, the dance is really culturally important and really tells a story. And we can move on to the next slide, Ms. Bryant. So the highlight sort of our World Dance unit is this dance is, it's called Tinikling. And Tinikling is the national dance of the Philippines. Sorry, one sec. It's the national dance of the Philippines. And it's meant to tell the story of the tikling bird. And the dancers act as the bird darting through the bamboo traps that were set by farmers back when Spain colonized the Philippines. And it's really, really fun. The performance task is the culminating project at the end of our units. And for the World Dance unit, the students develop their own unique Tinikling routine using the steps we've gone over in class. And I really also encourage them to incorporate their own moves, which is very interesting. But it's a really fun unit. It takes the whole month of January usually. And it's just a lot of fun to see students really wrap their minds around the fact that there can be a lot of different kinds of dance and that they can be a part of the story as well. So that is my time. That's a little glimpse into IVA physical education.
Before we move on to any other slides, I do want to give you a chance to ask the teachers here any questions that you have about the curriculum or anything about grading, anything that you can imagine in middle school. One thing that I think is really valuable is that our physical education class is not just an overloaded twice or three times the size class of other classes. And that the state standards of addressing conflict that is in no other class is something that our amazing physical education teachers take into account when they create groups. Students have to make dances together, and they have to navigate the conflict of those groups. So we see a lot of value in the curriculum. Thank you for asking a question. How do you integrate reflection on intellectual virtues into the curriculum? Go. Carrie, do you want to start?
I could go. A
good.
lot of the really explicit teaching on the virtues happens in the advisory period that comes every Wednesday morning. But within the curriculum, a lot of it just kind of comes out naturally in the things that we do. We comment on it when we notice it in students. At different points, we have them reflect on it. I know, like in math, whenever we do these larger projects, these POWs, we have them reflect on their own, like what virtue they had to use in that to solve that problem and what could they have used more. So it kind of is just infused in all of the classes. And then also when we give out report cards, the students do get a grade, but they also get really kind of detailed comments from the teachers about how we have seen them practice virtues in the class and what we'd like to see them continue to grow in. So it's kind of just sprinkled in throughout. I don't know if that answers the question.
I see a couple other really good questions. Maybe we can just go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a question about support classes. The one support class that we do have is called Math Lab, and that is in place of an elective, and we as teachers choose students who we think need a little more support in math. We offer it second semester to sixth grade. So we have time to get to know them a little better. And then first semester to seventh grade. And then it's a year-long class for algebra in eighth grade. So in eighth grade, all of our students take algebra, and 1/3 of them get an algebra lab class where they get extra support while they're doing their algebra. We don't do it year-long in sixth and seventh because we really do value the other electives, and we want students to have access to art and, you know, creative writing and psychology and the other things that we offer. So we give them, you know, just one semester in sixth and seventh. But that is our only support, like academic support class that we offer.
There are other great questions. I mean, there's some really technical, wonderful things like daily school hours is 8:20 to 3:04. On Wednesdays, we get out at 1. There is, we open up the blacktop for, but it's not really before school care. We do have after school programs, a lot of clubs that students form. And then Kylie, I was just putting part of a response to a question about curriculum. Our website has a lot more information about specific curriculum. It's all written out with like syllabus examples. But we have a novel-based curriculum that our teachers created because we could not find literature curriculum that went deep. We got a lot of coverage and a lot of like comprehension questions. But we wanted depth and really big questions to be asked in classes. What else do we have? Opportunities for students that demonstrate advanced math skills.
I would say, okay, so I was just beginning to type a response to that. We try, like one of our goals in creating lessons is to have a low floor and a high ceiling so that everybody can enter the conversation about the topic that we're discussing, but students are free to take it as far as their curiosity will push them to take it. So for instance, in the beginning of sixth grade, we're talking about prime numbers and even and odds, which seem like pretty basic concepts, but they're actually like very deep concepts that college professors think about when they do number theory and things like that. So students can make, you know, more basic observations, but they can also take it as far as they want. And I think Ms. Schmidt and I both really appreciate those conversations. So we encourage, you know, the bigger what ifs and the questions that drive them further. We also have a math club that we run after school. It's a math counts math club where we do lots of really fun problems, and the kids come who really like doing math problems. Then we go to some competitions and things like that. So there's that opportunity as well. We also have a really good math library with great books about mathematicians for kids that want more.
I think I saw another question that we might respond to. Does anyone else have? Oh, there's a question about electives. And so our sixth graders enter into the school with art. Every sixth grader takes art. We have 3 classes of sixth graders. In the second semester, we try to identify which students need the additional math support, and they get the math lab. And otherwise, at this point, right now, we have creative writing or psychology. And so that's the second semester class they take. Seventh grade, it's the exact same classes, but flip-flopped, because in the beginning of the 7th grade, we know what students are struggling in math. So we start them off with a lab and then try to let them go and see if they can do it on their own. Our 8th grade classes are always really excited to create or develop. We really try to turn students back out to service. And so we have leadership, understanding different types of leadership, and that has a lot of interpersonal development in it. And then also social justice, so we can have our students learn about the ways that our community is serving other people in the community. If there are other questions, please add them to the chat, and we will make sure to have information available for our families. Also, I do want to plug again a campus tour so that you can ask other questions and get a direct response. But some of the questions that our families ask when they think about IVA, because it does feel like it's stepping away from the mainstream middle school system. And so the question is, where is my child going to go after IVA? And in one sort of flippant response. They go right back into high school after IVA. But I think that the ways that students are equipped can be very different. So our students are very equipped with reading and writing, argument and reason, and being able to describe the way that they're thinking, to know themselves. And we see a trajectory of our students that they desire challenge and put themselves in the place of challenge. The video that we showed earlier this evening, there are those students, oh my goodness, they are, what are they? Carrie, what year are they?
They are freshmen and sophomores in college if they chose to go to college.
They just have really wonderful things happening in their lives. So again, a plug for the other ways to learn about us. And then let's get a little bit technical. IVA is a lottery. So anyone who applies, we will identify the number of tokens that go with that applicant. So there's 1 token to apply, 1 token if you're a Long Beach Unified resident, and then also an additional token if your residential elementary school is 55% or more free or reduced lunch. And you have to apply within the window in order to get in. We hold a lottery and then we notify families less than 2 weeks with the result of that lottery. And then we tell our families, like, you should be doing the regular middle school choice process while you're doing the lottery. You'll get the results around the same time when you find out where you've been assigned for middle school, and then you can make a decision then. So we have those nights. I'm gonna just say this back to our mission. When students come to IVA, it's not just about the content that's assigned for learning. It's not, in fact, students forget the specific content. And so there's a quote in one of the books that we love, Intellectual Character, and it talks about what is going to last, like after the boards have been erased, what sticks with students. And so I'm just going to read this quote to you. What endures for students are the dispositions and the habits of character that we've been able to nurture. What stays with us and what sticks with us from our education are the patterns and behaviors of thinking that have been ingrained and enculturated over time. These are the residuals of education and their foundations of intellectual character. So when a student is with us, they have access to the language that helps them understand their minds in a way that is very distinct from other schools. And also, they are constantly asked what they're thinking, describe their thinking. They're in an environment that cares that they would struggle. Can you throw into the chat any sort of final thought in our last moments together? Something that you wonder still, you'd like more information, or you wonder, something that you realize, or anything that you're grateful for or appreciate. It doesn't have to be about this, just gratitude at the end of our meeting for the night. And Carrie, thank you. And Jordan Sachs, I'm grateful for all your questions, says Carrie Noble. I appreciate the questions, Jordan Sachs. But I'll take a moment to let you drop it in the chat. Oh, Martha. Gianna, thank you. Are the second and third token for living anywhere within LBUSD, or is the third one for living in an IVA neighborhood? The third one is for anywhere in LBUSD. So we're just looking for socioeconomically diverse for our third token. And then neurodiverse students fit into IVA. I think that's a longer conversation. I think that if you haven't come on a tour, you should come on a tour and let's talk and let's look at our students, talk to students too. I appreciate hearing from the students. Good job, students. Marcus, Rose, Anna, thank you for being here tonight. Alex, I appreciate the students and staff who shared their Tuesday night with us. Thank you all for stepping into this Zoom meeting. Thank you. I appreciate the information, for all the attention to your students. Thank you. Maggie says, I'm grateful IVA is an option for LBUSD. Tanisha, I'm so grateful for the amount of intention you've placed in this school. Very refreshing. Oh, I think there's so much. Thank you. Is the application open to non-Long Beach residents? Yes. In fact, non-Long Beach residents get 1 token because they applied. And not a token for the Long Beach residential or a token for LBUSD free and reduced lunch. Thank you, everyone. Have you conducted follow-up surveys with graduated students? No, we need, and I think I said this to someone else, we need researchers connected to our school. We're a small school, and for purposes of education, we are our own district. You all are spending time with the superintendent right now. And so we do a lot, a small school, we keep our ability to be flexible by being our own district, but that means that we wear many hats, and not one of those yet is following up with our students, but we need to, and we want to.
We do get anecdotal follow-up. We have students come back all the time and tell us how much they've appreciated their time in middle school. I think they appreciate it more when they're in high school looking back on it than they maybe did second semester of their 8th grade year when they were like ready to go to high school. But they all come back.
Yeah. It's really beautiful to hear high schoolers say that time in my life was so important. I was so cared for. I see how it's impacted me. We expect that, it'll be like college or beyond, that they're prepared to be that reflective about their time. And it's really nice. Thank you all for being here tonight. Please call the school with any questions that you have. Sign up for a tour. We want to be able to answer any questions that you have, and hope you all have a really, really good evening. That's all, folks. Hope to see you soon. Bye. Bye, Marcus. Thank you. Bye, Rose.
Bye, Marcus.
Bye, all.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.